Hello and welcome to the Understanding Narcissists YouTube channel. This video is going to be about something I've talked about before, but I kind of want to, ratchet it up a bit by going into greater depth. It's not as complicated as the enabling complex that I talked about earlier, thank goodness, but it is something that is dynamic. It's something that fundamentally describes how narcissists behave and some of the behaviors they adapt and habits they adapt and instinctual behaviors almost that are precautionary, that prevent you from controlling them, that allow them to control you, because that's kind of a single thing within itself. If you have trouble controlling them, that means they can control you. And that is something that I'm certain that's how they feel from what I can tell about their behavior, what they're always trying to do. And I know I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it some more because it's the idea, it's kind of like what you're occupied with day to day, what you're doing, and what the word is really what you're tracking. Because that's what narcissists do. They're tracking. They're always keeping tabs and watching. At each and every moment, that's what they're doing, and thinking and scheming. Some like to sit and scheme just for the sake of scheming, because they find it a fulfilling experience. Others will do it more off the cuff, and I'm not sure that they're always thinking about it as much. I'm not sure if it's just a personality or an intelligence thing or whatever. But they like schemes, they like plans they're going to carry out to fool people without them knowing. That's kind of their bread and butter. It's really their sustenance. They got to be doing that all the time. It really builds them up and makes them the mastermind, the puppet master, the controlling overseer that is fooling everyone, and nobody can pick up on it because they're just inferior beings, and the narcissist is in control because they are so strong and so overpowering. Oh, and they're good people, by the way. Somehow that mixes into it. They're also really good people. The dynamics between you and them, you find that they have to work a certain way. And in general, it's that you are a stationary target that they just berate and attack all day and throw darts at, figuratively. And they're the ones who are dancing around and hard to trace and hard to track and can do what they want, have no schedule, have no real obligations. And when they do have obligations that they can't get out of, they are furious. They are so almost enraged by it, but they have to put up with it. But they can get by getting one over on whoever they're obligated to. Even it's their the most notable example is the employer, if they are employed. Because the employer is something where they're going to receive a supply from, but they also have obligations and certain things they have to do. Otherwise, they could get fired. They could be relieved. And so because of that control that an employer naturally exercises over them, generally speaking, then they harbor a lot of resentment towards that, and so they have to get them back somehow. They have to show that, they're not in complete control of me. I'm too savvy for that. It sounds kind of kooky, what I'm saying, and that's because it is. But I've seen that too much for me to not point it out. The kind of child-parent relationship they have, like, let's say, in a professional capacity with their employer. It's totally unprofessional, but that's what it is. And that tracking of their behavior and them being able to do whatever they want. They really have to be able to do what they want most of the time. And that setup, that scheme of no commitment, no obligation, no mandate. They can have a schedule, but it's really a schedule of control. Day to day, it's got to be something that it's not like, they really enjoy doing this thing, or there's something that they themselves, like, say, the previous video, say out of character or something. They do it for their character because it's a value, it's a principle. There's nothing really like that. They're really, I find day to day, like children, pretending to be adults, and doing what they want. They're fundamentally children running around doing what they want. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't be helpful or that it can't be responsible, but they're going to get, at the very least, a substantial amount of narcissistic supply. Enough supply that it's going to sustain them. They're going to get something from it because it's going to be a positive thing. Now, in that way, you may come to ask, well, how much of it can be mutual if the illusion can be good for both of you? And the thing is, I guess the idea that, well, can't you accommodate the illusion so that it's good for both of you? Not really, because the illusion requires you to sort of destroy yourself and hurt yourself and believe all the negative things. There are certain conditions under which the illusion can kind of be nice, sort of. But that's really to set you up to knock you down again. That's really to kind of sustain you, to sustain it, and then they can blow up at some point in the future and have a meltdown. So it's really not sustainable. It's just like any other abusive cycle, abusive regime, really, where it's going to have to keep repeating itself. It's going to have to keep along that cycle. And the one who's losing all the energy, I know they're suffering, but the one who's losing all the energy and has to really sacrifice their own lives to support it is you. You're the reason it's there. And so that has to be maintained. And they understand that. The day-to-day dynamic is really, I mean, it goes without saying, it's a scam. It's a scam. It looks like something you're always working towards. It looks like you can see the summit up there and you're making your way towards it. But every time you push more, you can't really get to it, because if you get to it, that means that something is wrong with them and something has to change. You know what I mean? It's that if all that stuff they put in the way that you have to deal with, if that's really the problem, if you're able to get that out of the way, there still has to be a problem so they have an outlet. And if there isn't, they panic. Because the actual problem is the thing that they're trying to obstruct and keep you from. So you can't get to that. That's why I always tell you not to directly approach them and go, never say, you're a narcissist. It's not good. Nothing is going to come of it. At the very least, nothing good will come of it, and probably something bad will come of it. You don't want that to happen. For one thing, it becomes a weapon they use against you. You kind of handing something over in their arsenal where they, well, such and such thinks I'm a narcissist. They don't like the word narcissist because I suspect they're, whatever level of awareness they have of their own problems, of their own condition, they really don't like to face it, and that really sets them off. It's kind of a death threat from you. When you start saying those things about them and accusing them of being a narcissist, the necessary conclusion is that, well, this stuff is bad, it needs to be taken away. They kind of take that as a death threat, like you are going to destroy their life. And that's when they become dangerous, and that's why I so strongly advocate against doing that, because it's just not safe. It's good for you to accept it and realize it yourself, but it's not good for you to share it with them. They're not somebody to share with. They don't have the kinds of flexibility you do in growing and changing, and so it's just a needless risk for you to bear going in. So really don't ever do that. It would be my advice. But keep an eye on that. The dynamic relationship. What you do and what they do. And I left on that note in an earlier video. But notice the environment that they set up. I know I say that a lot, but you can become ever and ever more keen, and you see more and more things. And you'll see just how rigged everything actually is. You'll see just how, as soon as you deviate from that static, stationary object you are supposed to be, that cardboard cutout that you're supposed to be for them, you'll see the dynamic relationship unfold because they rely on you. It's a cliche, but you're sort of their rock. You're sort of their sun. And when you start moving around, they start getting screwy because that's not supposed to happen. They need you to be there so they can build and accumulate this dysfunctional mass that they're making. And they need your help with that. You have to be there or it won't work. But the presentation is that they're the lively, upbeat, unpredictable, spontaneous people going about doing what they want. You know, you can't tell what they're going to do, and full of character too. And you're kind of the fuddy-duddy. You're kind of the bland, not so fascinating person who is blessed to be with them and be around them and have their light shining on you. Start moving around and doing things that they can't track, and everything changes very quickly. And that's really the first step of, really the first sign of the dissolution of the illusion. That's not a very good way of putting it, but it is. It kind of dissolves and falls apart because it's all made up. And having to realize that everything is really just a playhouse for them to do what they want, to, in some, I guess, vicarious way, get the love they never received and that they desire in a dysfunctional way, because they're not, as I'm going to cover, well, probably in the next video, that love is not something, unfortunately, they were already broken before love could fix them. So the relationship or their even concept of love is not, they're not receptive to it. It's not something that's going to help them get better, because they were assured of never being able to understand and feel love and be moved by love before they ever had a chance to experience it and have it strengthen them. Essentially, they were damaged to the point where they couldn't receive and understand love to really have it help them. And so they have no real chance of understanding love, seeking out love, and receiving love, and developing a bond with others that could help them overcome their disorder and become the people they actually desire to be and be seen as. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Like it if you do. Share it with somebody you think might benefit from it. Comment in the comment section below, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.